Okay, well, today we're going to be talking about systems of equations, but we're going to be taking some word problems and we're going to be translating them into systems of equations. I don't know if that sounds exciting, but actually it is pretty fun. Being able to translate English into math is actually one of the most important skills that you can have as an algebra student. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this first sentence here. One integer is 7 greater than another integer. And what we're going to try and do is just represent that as an equation. So we're obviously going to be dealing with two integers. So the first thing I would suggest is calling x an integer. And then just to make it simple, why don't we just call y an integer also? Now, it says that one integer is 7 greater than another. So just for fun, I'm just going to pick x and just say that that's the larger one. We can do that because all we're doing is naming it, so we're not really breaking any rules. We can name it whatever we want. X is a larger integer and y is a smaller one. Okay, so now we're ready to just go ahead and translate that into math. Let's do that. One integer is 7 greater than another. Well, we're going to be talking about the greater one, the one that's larger. That's x. So let's go ahead and put that into math. X, the larger integer, is, now is translates as equals in math, 7 greater than another integer. Well, 7 greater than means whatever you're going to be talking about, you got to add 7 to it. So there's something plus 7. And what is it that's plus 7? It turns out it's the other integer. And the other one is going to be y. So there we go. We've got the first equation done. X equals y plus 7. One integer is 7 greater than another one that's smaller. Okay, now let's take a look at our second sentence. Boom, okay. The larger integer is 29 less than the opposite of the smaller integer. How do we do that? Okay, well, let's take a look and see if we can figure that out. The larger integer, so let's think back to what we said here. X is the larger integer, y is the smaller. Okay, so if x is the larger one, let's go ahead and start translating. The larger integer, x, is, remember is means equals, 29 less than. Now, 29 less than something means whatever the something is, we're going to have to take away 29 from it. So the larger integer is 29 less than something. Let's see, what is it less than? It's less than the opposite of the smaller integer. Well, opposite in math, when we talk about opposite in English, it means negative or minus. So the opposite of the smaller integer is actually minus or negative. And what was the smaller integer? What did we say? Smaller integer is y. So the opposite of the smaller integer is negative y or minus y. So let's see if that makes sense. The larger integer is 29 less than the opposite of the smaller integer. Wow. Okay, well, that's your tough part. The easy part is actually solving it. So let's go ahead and put these two things together, these two equations, and if you'll notice, they form a very, very simple system for elimination. And elimination is where we want to look for opposite terms. It turns out we have opposite terms. We have y and a minus y. So when you add both equations together, you get x plus x, which is 2x, equals, here's the elimination part. The y and the negative y will cancel out. y minus y is 0. 7 minus 29, for those of you that are real good with negative numbers, you'll see right away that that's going to be a negative number. Turns out it's negative 22. And then we divide by 2 on both sides of the equation, and we're going to end up with x equals negative 11. And then all we got to do from there is to substitute the negative 11 into the x. Either one is fine. If you want to go ahead and pick this top one, you'll see that negative 11, and we can maybe put this up here just to make it easier. Negative 11, which is the x, equals y plus 7. And then there's probably some of you that just can see this right away. You'll be able to notice that if we add 11 to both sides, that's going to make it tricky. So why don't we subtract 7 from both sides? And then you're going to see that y equals negative 18. And there's your x and there's your y. So your solution to this problem is going to be negative 11 and negative 18. And if you check it, if you substitute the x and the y into both of these equations, you'll see that that works. But the main thing for this lesson is translating English into math. Key things to keep in mind: you can call an integer a variable, x, or whatever other letter you might like, and you can call one larger or smaller, as long as you're consistent. And then the other things to keep in mind from today's lesson: the English word is means equals in math, and the word opposite means negative or minus in math. Hopefully that'll help you out. Thanks for watching.